If you like to squash potatoes up and down the produce aisle, I think I messed up the VeggieTales song. Anyways, hi, hello, 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 hi. This evening, I'll be sporting this little code. And it says excellent. Everything says excellent on my end. I think I'll tag. I think I'll tag someone. Give me a second. Sorry, I was reading a meme. Sorry, give me a second. Sorry. I was looking for someone on Discord that maybe I could like say, hey, there. Okay. Give me a moment. Maybe I can just look over. Kate Morning. No. Okay, hold on. Give me a moment. 1 second. Maybe I can contact. Sorry, it's just this meme I'm reading. Gosh, it's so funny, hilarious. But it's also sad. It's so. Okay. How do I find the specific? Oh, he must not be. They must not be online. Not that they must not be. Might probably be not online. Okay, give me a second. I want to do just a few last second little checks here. There. Okay. Everything's good. Everything's excellent. Everything's fine. Dandy. Whew, I'm yawning. Where were we the last time on the strange case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde and other stories? Before we read that, I said that I'll talk about my feelings, my emotions, my I'll talk about the Five Nights at Freddy's movie. Let's get that out of the way. First off, how do I put this into words? Oh, hang on. Okay. I thought my mustache was back. I was like, what? That's fast. Anyways, no. It's just my beard. But let's see. Is my hair? There, it's fine. Okay, no, that was better than like it was before. Okay. Spoilers on the FNAF movie. There was some scenes that do feel a bit, I wouldn't say rushed, but like it could have like done a little bit more practice here and there. I wish there was a confirmation if a certain character was dead or not. And I don't know if she is dead or not. So spoilers, I'm not talking about Vanessa. I'm talking about the aunt. Yeah, the aunt, the evil aunt, and yeah, she's evil. Let's go with that. There's an aunt in the movie. If you have seen it, you know who I'm talking about. But if you haven't seen it, then you won't know that what I am talking about. Um, but hold on, let me I'm typing here or something. Okay. Whew. Well, anyways. Hot cocoa. I may have to watch the movie again, but this is just me personally. I don't know if the movie has confirmed it or not. But there was a character that um basically is kind of sort of the I want to say the mastermind, but she's the antagonist of the B plot, and I actually kind of like the B plot. Um, they probably added the B plot to get us more and invested into the main characters, what their goals are be, why would they why would they work at Freddy's, how they get into this position of Freddy's, and all that stuff, right? When it has like a when yeah, there are some people who don't like the B plot, like eh. The I understand why there was a B plot. It's kind of like the driving force of why the people are not Five Nights at Freddy's, at Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria, right? What are they doing there? Why are they doing there? How are they doing there? Right? Yeah. How did they get there? Why? Who win? What when? Where? Who? What? When? Where? How? Which? They got there, right? Everyone forgets about the witch. Not the witch, like WH. Which one? Which of? Not Wicked Witch. Anyways, so. Anyways, so you have this whole story where, like, is he capable of taking care of his younger sister? Um, the one question I do have is when the younger sister, because it says that it in the lore, the or not in the lore, but like in the story, what the story tells us. I have to watch the movie again, but in the lore, sometime when the main character was young, I'm assuming his older brother or his younger brother or what, basically there's three siblings. Matt, uh no, not Matt. Mac, not Matt. Mike. What I'm thinking Mike, and my mouth is saying every other word. Mike Hughes. Anyways, Mike, uh what's his name? Okay, so Mike and her. What's her name? No, Mike and Gerald. Gerald. Gabriel. Garrett. Mike, Garrett, and what's her name? I don't remember her name. Her name didn't stood out to me. Was it Annie? Annie? I'll look it up here in a second. But give me a second. Give me a second. I'll get back to you. Okay, sorry. I kind of wish this person. I wish I had informed this person that I was trying to stream or whatever. But it's fine. The 14th Doctor is here. Oh, I was told it was going to be 16. This is 6. Wait, hold on. No. I hate that article swap. Okay, the David Dent starts and Doctor Who children in need scene. Oh, okay. No, it's okay. Okay, it's not. Wow. Apparently there are. Okay, so I'm sorry. There's distractions on my screen. Okay, so but 5 Nights at Freddy's film cast load. Oh yeah, Corey X Kenshin. Yeah, well that's nice. Okay. Matthew Leonard, Vanessa, Elizabeth. Oh no, Vanessa Monroe. Oh no, her last name's not really Monroe. Okay, so there's Grant Freely, Kevin Matt Pat as the waiter. Mike Schmidt as when he's younger. Okay, but Garrett. Oh, where is he? What dang, what's the character's name? Little kid. Abigail. Okay, Abigail Schmidt. Okay, Abigail Schmidt and Mike Schmidt. Okay, that took me longer than I wanted. Okay, so Abigail, whatever Schmidt. So Abigail Schmidt, Mike Schmidt, and Vanessa Monroe. Okay, yeah, all right. Hold on. Give me a second. Oh, okay. This my friend here is texting me. So, okay. So yeah, there's a whole lot of tangents going on in my head. Okay, so there's. I don't think the movie ever clarifies how young Abby is, or I'm assuming what happens Their brother and sister, right? So Garrett is one of the young. I'm assuming they were all. I'm assuming Here's my assumption. Here's my assumption. Garrett. Garrett was Garrett, Mike, and Abby. Here's my assumption is that Abby was a baby, or the mother was pregnant at this time. Yeah, okay. So I can't remember, but I think she was pregnant in the film, but you had to like be observant, or you had to not be observant, but you had to be like paying attention. But like I was more like focused on like just watching the movie, and it's in the theater, so I'm like, there's like people around making different noises, like oh wow, that's cool, oh yeah, wow. And so during some of during the serious scenes, I try to be like as quiet as possible. So just try to be focused. And there's sometimes when the movie like hyper focuses on like a Coca-Cola being spilled, and I'm like, oh, Coca-Cola, I'm thirsty. And the movie purposely, or the theatrical I think there's like a difference between the theatrical version and the actual movie that you see on DVD. Like the Coca-Cola just spills, right? But like when the Coca-Cola spills, I get thirsty for Coca-Cola for some reason. I don't know why that. I don't know if that's movie magic or whatever, but that what happens. Not all the time when the person on screen is eating, I get enthralled into eating, but like the volume for some reason, like when I watch it again on DVD, the volume I would remember specifically like the food eating and drinking scenes are like different at different volumes or different like sound pitches or whatever. Or I don't know what that's called, but like for some reason, or at least in my mind, or at least from my experience when watching movies versus in the theater versus on DVD, it's it's two different movies. Okay, it's two different movies. The I guess like the theater like hype has like some sort of like built like some sort of like movie theatrical version where like if the characters are drinking a product, all of a sudden the product is the most loudest thing you can hear, or like the fizz or the something like, or the Coca-Cola spilling out or whatever. It, if for some reason the movie has a product, whether it be a food, beverage, drink, cocaine. Okay, not cocaine, but to food, drink, not drugs. If it's a hyperfixation on drugs, and it's probably because they're being that's deliberate for a different reason. Um, Not for the theaters, but anyways, and not for commercial, obviously. Um, but like I'm this is just how I'm maybe it's just me, but like it feels like when I'm in the theater and when I listen to like when I'm trying to pay attention to a scene, all of a sudden the noises or the hyperfixation of certain noises are focused on food products that you can easily eat and get at the theater. And I'm not saying that's conspiracy or anything or whatever. That is probably legitimate thing that they do. Or hey, don't remember to eat your food or whatever or something. Um, but it could be just me. Maybe it's just the people in this in the maybe it's just people who are producing this movie are just like, oh hey, let's have a cool shot of this cola spilling. No, And since we're sponsored by Coca-Cola, we might as well have this. It's probably just simple as that. Like, they're sponsored. They have to do something. Can't just have the product in the room. I'll probably buy the DVD just for A, both the lore, and B, also to figure out if there's if I'm not delusional. Anyways, I don't know why I'm hyper focused on the FNAF, on the Coca-Cola spilling over, but like for some reason that was just like, I'm trying to pay attention to the scene. It's important. Everyone else is like also trying to pay attention to the scene. Coca-Cola. And I understand why they did that. It was also because in that scene, it was supposed to be distorienting, and distracting, because like he's trying to focus on the details of this memory that may or may not have actually happened, right? And he's like, his memories are just kind of just bungled up, like just jumbled up, right? And I'm also trying to figure out whether, like, how Abby is put into play into the family, but I think they say it in the movie too. But anyways, but my best guess is that she was pregnant. The mom was pregnant with Abby before Mike Schmidt's father left or died, or they both died, or whatever. I don't remember who died or who lived or whatever. I do want to watch the movie again, or I could just watch the film theory, just jot it all down, and then I'll come up with my own conclusion, or whatever. But enough said. I there's some stuff I don't remember about the FNAF movie, but like, again, I think that's like that's another weakness to like point out. If the B plot isn't that memorable, I guess, then or no, maybe it is memorable, but I think it was just more focused on just whatever. I don't know. I'll be right back. Give me it back. Give me a second. I've got to answer this, my friends. Okay, sorry. Okay, well, let's move on from the FNAF movie. I there's stuff I could probably go deeper about it, but it's a lot better and easier to keep up with if I had someone else to also talk about it. But enough about the FNAF movie. It's now to continue with The Last Night. The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. So previously, they were just spooked. they were so one of Utterson's and Dr. Jekyll's friend, Mr. Layan, died. He died of old age. And another friend of Mr. Enfield, another friend of Utterson, Mr. Enfield, they've been trying to talk to Dr. Jekyll. They've also been trying to get Dr. Jekyll out of his house. And either no one's home or he just shuts them out. He even spooked them once. Hold on, I want to see if there's anyone here. Probably not. Okay. Anyways, so they get spooked because when they were trying to speak to him from a window, he was in the window. They shouted from like below. He shut like he's like bipolar or something. And then he's just like, yeah, I agree. I should probably do so. And then just shuts it shuts the window rather violently. Or not spookily, but like just rather instantly. And in doing so startles these two gentlemen. Before I continue. Okay, I got this done. Okay, so my friend is really chatty tonight. Okay, so anyways, Mr. The Last Night, the Dark Night, the last night. Mr. Addison was sitting by his fireside one evening after dinner when he was surprised to receive a visit from Poole. Bless me, Poole. What brings you here? He cried, and then taking a second look at him. What ails you? He added. Is the doctor ill? Mr. Addison, said the man, there is something wrong. Take a seat, and here's a glass of wine for you. Now take your time and tell me plainly what you want. You know the doctor's ways, sir, replied Poole. And how he shuts himself up. Well, he shut up a gun in the cabinet, and I don't like it, sir. I wish I may die if I like it, Mr. Addison. Sir, I'm afraid. Now, my good man, said the Lord, be explicit. What are you afraid of? I've been afraid for about a week, returned the Pooh, doggedly disregarding the question. And I can bear it no more. The man's appearance, the man's appearance amply bore out his words. His manner was altered for the worse, and except for the moment when he had first announced his terror, he had not once looked the lawyer in the face. Even now he sat with a glass of wine untasted on his knee, and his eyes directed to a corner of the floor. I could bear it no more, he repeated. Come, said the Lord. I see you have some good reason. Pooh! I see there is something seriously amiss. Try to tell me what it is. I think there's been foul play, said Pooh hoarsely. Foul play! Cried the Lord, a good deal frightened and rather inclined to be irritated in consequence. What foul play? What does the man mean? I daren't say, sir, was the answer, but will you come along with me and see for yourself? Okay, I'm going to answer my friend's text real quick. All right. He'll text back, but it's kind of it's a not serious conversation. It's just a friendly chat. Miss Allison's only answer was to rise and get his hat and great coat. But he observed with wonder the greatness of the relief that appeared upon the butler's face, and perhaps with no less that the wine was still untasted when he set it down to follow. It was a wild, cold, seasonable night of March, with a pale moon lying on her back as though the wind had tilted her. Okay. and had a flying rack of the most diaphanous and lawn-meat texture. What does that mean? The two words, I do not know what they mean. So time to find out. Let's investigate. I love old classic books, you could tell, because they have these old words that are used, and long words too, that are used properly, defined, especially fabric, light, delicate, and translucent. Okay, odd way to describe March, or the moon in this case. Diaphanous. Diaphanous. Okay, that's a nice romantic word right there. Diaphanous. Okay, Lonnie. So it's just lawn and then Lonnie? Lonnie. Okay. Objective Lonnie, not comparable, made of lawn and fine lining. Quotations having resembling a grass. Or does lawn? I guess it's just lawning. Maybe there's a different word, but just having a lawn. All right, well, there's that. And all right. Lonnie texted. The wind made talking difficult, and and fleckled the blood into the face. Oh, okay. It seemed to have swept the streets unusually bare of passengers. Besides, for Mr. Utterson, uh, this is another use of the semicolon. Uh, Passengers, comma, besides, semicolon. For Mr. Utterson, he thought he had never seen that part of London so deserted. He could have wished it. He could have wished it otherwise. Never in his life had he been conscious of so sharp a wish to see and touch his fellow creatures. For struggle as he might, born there was born in upon his mind a crushing anticipation of calamity. The square, when they got there, was full of wind and dust, and the thin trees in the garden were lashing themselves along the railing. Poole, who had kept all the way a pace or two ahead, now pulled up in the middle of the pavement, and in spite of the biting weather, the weather just bites like ow. It's just like ah. Okay, no, not bark. That's different. It bites like this. Ow. And you're just trying to just dodge the weather from biting you, or else you lose your head. Especially in London, in Soho, London, or Soho, yeah. Ah, I don't know. I did that. Just, Pool. We kept all the way the pace of two ahead. Now pulled up. Um, I want to. I think I lost my place. This is my born, but square. The thin trees in the garden were lashing again. Alright, I think I lost my place. Huh. Okay, yeah, this is where I'm at. crushing anticipation of calamity. The square, when they got there, was full of wind and dust, and the thin trees in the garden were lashing themselves along the railway. Poole, who had kept all the way a pace or two ahead, now pulled up in the middle of the pavement, in spite of the biting weather, took off his hat, and mopped his brow with a red pocket handkerchief. Oh, red pocket handkerchief, listened. But for all the hurry of his coming, these were not the dews of exertion that he had wiped away, but the moisture of some strangling anguish. For his face was white, and his voice, for his face was white, and his voice, when he spoke, harsh and broken. Well, sir, he said, here we are, and God grant there be nothing wrong. Amen, Poole, said the lawyer. Thereupon, it's a rare species of a word, thereupon. It's THERE. And sometimes most people, if not all the time, most people will put a space bar upon, UPON. But the rare species of a word is you just don't use the space bar. Thereupon. All right. Amen, Poole. Thereupon, the servant knocked in a very guarded manner. I think that's like a more guarded manner, or maybe like this. I don't want to shake things up. Oh well. What time is it? It's 10:29. But we're doing good, yes. Yeah. Okay, so very guarded manner. The door was opened on the chain, and a voice asked from within, "Is that you, Poole?" "It's all right," said Poole. "Open the door." The hall, when they entered it was brightly lighted up. The fire was built high, and about the hearth the whole of the servants, men and women, stood huddled together like a flock of sheep. Oh no! At the sight of Mr. Utterson, the housemaid broke into hysterical whimpering. And the cook crying out, bless God, it's Mr. Utterson," ran forward as if to take him in her arms. What are you all here?" said the lawyer, peevishly. "Very irregular, very unseemly. Your master would be far from pleased." They're all afraid, said Poole. Blank silence followed, no one protesting. Only the maid lifted her head. Only the maid lifted her voice and and now wept loudly. Hold your oh sorry. Hold your tongue. Hold your tongue. Hold it. I can't do the Pool voice anymore. You're afraid. Hold your tongue, Pool said to her with a ferocity of accent that testified to his own jangled nerves. And indeed, when the girl had so suddenly raised the note of her lamentation, they all started and turned towards the inner doors, the inner door with faces of dreadful expectation. No, and no, continued the butler, addressing the knife boy. the knife boy, you there, knife boy, take out the knife. Addressing the knife boy, reach me a candle, and we will get this through hands at once. And then he begged Mr. Addison to follow him. Come. Ow, my foot. And led the way to the back garden. Now, sir, he said, you come as gently as you can. I want you to hear, and I don't want you to be heard. And see here, sir, if by any chance he was to ask you in, don't go. Miss Addison's nerves, at his unlooked-for termination, gave a jerk that nearly threw him from his balance. But he really collected his courage and followed the butler into the laboratory building through the surgical theater, with its lumber of crates and bottles to the foot of the stair. Here Poole motioned here to stand on one side and listen, while he himself, setting down the candle and making a great obvious call on his resolution, mounted the steps and knocked with a somewhat uncertain hand on the red baize of the cabinet door. Mr. Addison, sir, asking to see you, he called, and even as he did so, once more violently signed to the lawyer to give ear. Okay, I'll pause right there. My foot is hurting me. Ow. And my friend has left. He will not chat with me for the rest of the excuse me. But that's good. There will be no more interruptions. One second. Okay. Anyways, so where was I? Okay, yeah, my friend's gone now. Not permanently, but just for the evening. Okay, well, okay, so we're at the point where the entire staff of Dr. Dr. Jekyll Uh, they're they're it's ghastly. They're just terrified, mortified, apparently. But anyways, yeah, they're scared. I wouldn't say to death, but one of them's legit crying. The maid is like, she's crying. Another maid is like, so sad, so scared. They even got the knife boy out, and he's ready to just throw hands. Anyway, a voice and now we will continue. A voice answered from within. Tell him I cannot see anyone, it said complainingly. Thank you, sir, said Fool, with a note of something like triumph in his voice, and taking up his candle, he led Mr. Orson back across the yard and into the great kitchen, where the fire was out and the beetles on the floor. Okay, beetles on the floor in the kitchen. Ugh. I'm assuming that they're nuisance, but they haven't paid much attention to the beetles at the in this because they're more distracted. No, sleeping on the floor. Sir, he said, looking Mr. Anderson in the eyes. Was that my master's voice? It seems much changed, replied the lawyer, very pale, but giving look for look. Changed? Well, yes, I think so, said the butler. Have I been 20 years? Have I been 20 years in this man's house to be deceived about his voice? No, no, sir, master's made away with. He was made away with 8 days ago, when we heard him cry out upon the name of God. And who's in there instead of him, and why it stays there, is a thing that cries to heaven, Mr. Harrison. I know, I purposely broke his character's voice because he's very. He's Poole is very upset. That is a very strange tale, Poole. This is rather a wild tale, my man, said Mr. Addison, biting his finger. A wild tale. Sorry. It is a very strange Poole. It's a very wild tale, my man. Suppose it were as you suppose. Suppose it were as you suppose. Supposing Dr. Jekyll had been, well, that you have been, well, murdered. What could induce the murder to say? That would induce the murders to stay? That won't hurt. That won't hold water. It doesn't come. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do it. That won't. That won't hold water. It doesn't commend itself to reason. And I'm assuming he only did that during that time. It says his finger, but I'm betting he's biting his thumb, actually. So it's like, does it come to the reason? So I'm assuming when the author says his finger, I don't think he would be biting his actual thumb on his finger like this. If anything, this just feels weird. I think it feels more naturally to be speaking with your thumb in your mouth like this, like this, maybe. But it looks like you're sucking your thumb. Oh well. I'm not gonna do it again unless he's continuously biting his thumb or finger. I will try the thumb or the pinky. Yeah, I'll try the pinky first and then the thumb. So assumingly he does that again. Suppose it was suppose it were as you suppose, supposing that Jekyll had been murdered. That could induce the murder to stay. Though in cold water. It doesn't commend its to reason. How long are you biting the finger? Blah, blah. Okay, don't do it. Well, Mr. Anderson, you are hard man to satisfy, but I'll do it yet, said Poole. All this last week, you must know him, or it, whatever it is that lies in that cabinet, has been crying night and day for some sort of medicine, and cannot get it to his mind. It was sometimes his way, the master's, that is, to write his orders on a sheet of paper and throw it on the stair. We've had nothing else this week back, nothing but papers and a closed door, and the very meals left there to be smuggled in when nobody was looking. Well, sir, every day, and twice and thrice in the same day, there have been orders and complaints, and I've been sent flying to all the wholesale chemists in town. Every time I brought out the stuff back, there would be another paper telling me to return it because it was not pure, and another order to a different firm. This drug is wanted, bitter bad, sir, whatever for. Have you any of these papers? Have you any of these papers? Asked Mr. Ellison. Poole felt in his pocket and handed out a crumpled note, which the lawyer, bending nearing to the candle, carefully examined. The contents ran thus: Dr. Jekyll's presence in his Dr. Jekyll Dr. Jekyll presents his complaints to Messrs. Ma. He assures them that their last sample is impure and quite useless for his present purpose. In the year 18 Dr. J purchased a somewhat large quantity from Messrs. M. He now begs them to search with most sedulous care, and should any of the same quality be left, forward it to him at once. Expense is no consideration. The importance of this to Dr. J can hardly be exaggerated. So far, the letter had run composedly enough, but here, with a sudden sputter of the pen, the writer's emotion had broken loose. For God's sake, for God's sake, he added, find me some of the old. This is a strange note, said Mr. Ellison, and then sharply, how do you come to have it open? The man of Mars was main angry, sir. He threw it back to me like so much dirt. returned Poole. This is unquestionably the doctor's hand. Do you know, resumed the lawyer. I thought it looked like it, said the servant rather sulkily. And then, with another voice, but what matters hand of right? He said. I've seen him. Seen him? Repeated Mr. Edison. Well, that's it, said Poole. It was this way. I came suddenly into the theatre from the garden. It seems he had slipped out to look for this drug or whatever it is, for the cabinet door was open. How many more pages? And there he was at the far end of the room, digging among the crates. We'll stop at a certain point. I'll try to finish this chapter as fast as I possibly can. Let me see something else here. It's okay. It's okay. We're going to do it for time. I just took 20 minutes extra to talk about the FNAF movie, so yeah, it's whatever. The cabin door fellow was fine in the room, digging among the crates. He looked when I came in, gave a kind of a cry, and went upstairs into the cabinet. It was but for 1 moment I saw him, but the hair stood upon my head like quills. Sir, if that was my master, why had he a mask upon his face? If it was my master, why did he cry out like a rat and run from me? I have served him long enough, and then... The man paused and passed his hand over his face. There are all very strange circumstances, said Mr. Edison, but I think I begin to see daylight. Your master Poole is plainly seized with one of those maladies. Those maladies? 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 Are we sure? Are we certain? Is it malaise or maladies? Disease. Maladies. he's been abducted by malady. But these maladies that both torture and deform the sufferer. Hence, for I know, the alteration of his voice, hence the mask, and the avoidance of his friends, hence his eagerness to find his drugs, by means of which the poor soul retains some hope of an ultimate recovery. God grant that he be not deceived. There is my explanation. It is sad enough, Poole, and appalling to consider, but it is plain and natural, hangs well together, and delivers us from all exorbitant alarms. Sir, said the butler, turning to sort of a moderate pallor, that thing was not my master, and that is the truth. My master, here he looked around him and began to whisper, is tall, fine build of a man, and this was more of a dwarf. Addison attempted to protest. Oh, sir, cried Poole, Do you think I do not know my master after 20 years? 20 years! After 20 years, do you think I know? Do you think I not know where his head comes to the cabinet door and where I saw him every morning of my life? No, sir, that thing in the mask was never Dr. Jekyll. God knows what it was, but it was never Dr. Jekyll, and it is the belief of my heart that there was murder done. I know I broke his accent and everything, but I really wanted to say it like that. Pooh, replied the Lord. If you say that, it will become my duty to make certain, much as I desire to spare your master's feelings, much as I am puzzled by this note which seems to prove him to be still alive, I shall consider it my duty to break in that door. The most useful lawyer in the history of lawyers. Can I get an amen? No, there's no one in the chat. Oh, I'm still not that popular. Oh, I'm cross-legged. But now, here we go. Break in that door. Oh, Mr. Anderson, that's talking, cried the butler. And now comes the second question, resumed Anderson. Who is going to do it? You are a lawyer. You got to have the muscle, the brawn to do so, right? Why, you and me, sir. I said, why, you and me, sir, was the undaunted reply. That is very well said. That is very well said, returned the lawyer. And whatever comes of it, I make it my business to see you are no loser. It's time to game. The door versus pool. There's an ox in the theater, continued Poole, and you might take the kitchen poker for yourself. Oh, they're throwing hands. They're about to throw hands. Not just hands. They got weapons and everything. Mr. Poole is going to take the fire axe, and the lawyer says, it was I with the poker, and we're going he's going to break in through the door, and they're just going to just kill this murderer. Whoever the murderer is, come on, it's Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. It's probably Mr. Hyde. There it is. They're going to go. Take the fire axe, take the poker, and just grab the poker and grab. You had to wield it like a French sword. I forgot what they're called. And you have to put your hand right here and go, just jab, or right here, and just jab. I'm imagining myself with the poker for some reason. And he's going to grab the fire axe and they're just going to kill him. They're just going to murder the murderer's ass. True lawyer skill right here, and butler skill. So you got a true lawyer and you got a true butler. It's time for a death battle right here. They're fighting this dwarf. That's talking. Who's going to do it? Why, you and me, said the other. Reply, that's very well. Whatever comes of it, I will make my business to see you are no loser. There is an excellent theater, continued Poole, and you might take the kitchen poker for yourself. You may take the kitchen poker for yourself. The lawyer took that rude but weighty instrument. Rude. This instrument is very rude. instrument into his hand and balanced it. "Do you know, Poor," he said, looking up, "that you and I are about to place ourselves in a position that you and I are about to place ourselves in a position of some peril?" "You may say so, sir, indeed," returned the butler. It is well, then, that we should be frank," said the other. "We both think more than we have said. Let us make a clean breast. This masked figure that you saw, did you recognize it?" "Well, sir, it went so quick, and the creature was so doubled up, I could barely, I could that I could hardly swear to that," said the answer. "But if you mean, was it Mr. Hyde?" "Why, yes, I think it was. You see, it was much of the same bigness, and had the same quick, light way with it. And then who else could have gotten in by the laboratory door? You have not forgot, sir, that at the time of the murder he had still the key with him? But that's not all. I don't know, Mr. Rosen, if you ever met this Mr. Hyde." "Yes," said the lawyer. "I once spoke with him." "Then you must know as well as the rest of us that there was something queer about that gentleman and homophobia." I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I kid. "Queer about that gentleman? Something that gave a man a turn." "I don't know rightly how to say, sir. It's more like a turn, like a cringe, like, yes, look, he's scary looking, that kind of turn, not the other turn." I don't. That'd be funny. That'd be so funny if, like, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde had not only to the well, it seems here that Mr. Hyde is described as like a shorter version of Dr. Jekyll, like he's been hunched over or whatever. But anyways, I'm now thinking, like, with oh gosh, what if there's a version of like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, but like Mr. Hyde is queer. I'm just saying that'd be funny. That'd be funny. I know. It's or like, you know what? That might be a can of worms I'm not ready to handle. I'm not going to. I'm not ready. So I'm not ready to picture it. I'm not ready to imagine it. Keep the lid on that that thought process. Let's not even venture. Let's focus. Focus back on the book. They gave a man a 10. I don't know how to say it, sir, beyond this, that you felt in your marrow kind of cold and thin. I own I felt something of what you describe, said Mr. Addison. Quite so, sir, returned Poole. Quite so, sir, returned the Poole. Well, then, when that masked thing like a monkey jumped from among the chemicals and whipped into the cabinet, it went down my spine like Ice! Oh, I know it's not evidence, Mr. Ellison. I'm book-learned enough for that. But a man has his feelings, and I give you my Bible word. It was Mr. Hyde. Aye, aye, said the lawyer. My fears incline to the same point. Evil, I fear, founded. Evil was sure to come of that connection. Aye, truly, I believe you. I believe poor Harry is killed, and I believe his murderer. For what purpose, God alone can tell. He's still lurking in his victim's room. Well, let our name be vengeance. Call Bradshaw. Oh, here we go. Here we go. We're here. We're getting Bradshaw. I'm just doing it so that I'm a fan. Okay. The footman came at the summons, very white and nervous. Put yourself together, Bradshaw, said the lawyer. This suspense, I know, is telling upon all of you, but it is now our intention to make an aid and to make an end of it. Poor, here, and I are going to force our way into the cabinet. If all is well, my shoulders are broad enough to bear the blame. Meanwhile, lest anything should really be amiss, or any malefactors seek to escape by then back, you and the boy must go round the corner with a pair of good sticks and take a post at the laboratory door. We've give you 10 minutes to get to your stations. As left, the lawyer looked at his watch. And now, poor, let us get to ours, he said, as he taken the poker under his arm and led the way into the yard. The scud had banked over the moon, and it was now quite dark. The wind, which had only broken puffs and draughts into that deep well of building, tossed the light of the candle to and fro about the steps, until they came into the shelter of the theatre, where they sat down silently to wait. London hums solemnly all around, but near at hand the stillness only broken by the sound of a footfall moving to and fro along the cabinet floor. Give me a second. So it will walk all day, sir, whispered. So it will walk. So it will walk all day, sir, whispered Paul. I, in the better part of the night, only when no sample. What the hell? What the hell? I'm gonna. That's different. I'm gonna look that up again. Where is it? Oh, okay. Sorry. Only when new samples come from the chemist, there's a bit of a break. There's her conscience. There's such an enemy to rest. Sir, there's blood fully shed in every step of it. But hark again, a little closer. Put your heart in your ears, Miss Allison, and tell me, is that the doctor's foot? The step fell lightly and hardly, with a sudden swing, for all they went so slowly. It was different indeed from the heavy creaking and tread of Henry Jekyll. Allison sighed. Is there anything Is there never anything else? He asked. Poole nodded. Once, he said. Once I heard it weeping. Weeping? How? Is there never anything else? Yes. Once I heard it weeping. Weeping? How that? Said the lawyer, conscious of sudden chill of horror. Weeping like a woman or a lost soul. Weeping like a lost woman or a lost soul. I came away with that upon my heart, that I could have wept too. But now the 10 minutes drew to an end. Poole disinterred the axe from under a stack of packing straw. The candle was set upon the nearest table to light them to the attack, and they drew near with bated breath to where the patient foot was still going up and down in the quiet of the night. Jekyll, cried Utterson. Jekyll, cried Utterson with a loud voice. I demand to see you. He paused for a moment, but there came no reply. I give you fair warning, our suspicions are aroused, but I must and shall see you, he resumed. If not by fair means, then by foul, and if not of your consent, then by brute force. Utterson, said the voice, for God's sake, have mercy. That's not Jekyll's voice. It's Hyde's, cried Utterson. Down with the door, Poole! Poole swung the axe over his shoulder. The blow shook the building, and the red baize door leaped against the lock and hinges. So, whack, and just a dismal screech as a mere animal terror rang from the cabinet. Up went the axe again, and again the panels crashed, and the frame bounded. 4 times the blow fell, but the wood was tough, and the fittings were excellent workmanship, and it was not until the 5th that the lock burst, and the wreck of the door fell inwards on the carpet. The besiegers, appalled by their own riot and stillness that had succeeded, stood back a little and peered in. There lay the cabinet before their eyes in the quiet lamplight. A good fire glowing and chattering on the hearth, the kettle singing on its dense drain, a drawer or two open, papers neatly set forth on the business table, and near the fire, the things laid out for the tea, the quietest room, you would have said, and but for the glazed presses full of chemicals, the most commonplace that night in London. Oh, we're almost done here. We are almost done. It's 11:09. Well, we can push on forward. Perhaps. Actually, yeah, let's push it forward. Presto. The most commonplace that night in London. Right in the middle there lay the body of a man sorely contorted, still twitching. Let me check something real quick. Oh, there's someone here, apparently. Hello, someone here, apparently. Okay. They drew near on tiptoe, turned it on its back, and beheld the face of Edward Hyde. He was dressed in clothes far too large for him, clothes of the doctor's bigness. The cords of his face still moved with a semblance of life, but life was quite gone, and by the file in the crushed file in the hand, and strong smell of kernels that hung upon the air, Utterson knew that he was looking on the body of a self-destroyer. "We have come too late," he said sternly. "Whether to save or punish, Hyde is gone to his account, and it only remains for us to find the body of your master." The far greater portion of the building was occupied by the theatre, which filled almost the whole ground story and was lighted from above, and by the cabinet which formed an upper story at one end and looked upon the court. A corridor joined the theatre to the door on the by street, and with this the cabinet communicated separately by a second flight of stairs. There were besides a few dark closets and a spacious cellar. All these they now thoroughly examined. Each closet needed but a glance, for all were empty, and by and no, all were empty, and all, by the dust that fell from their doors, had stood long unopened. The cellar, indeed, was filled with crazy lumber, mostly dating from the times of the surgeon who was Jekyll's predecessor. But even as they opened the door, they were advertised of the uselessness of further search by the fall of a perfect mat of cobweb, which had for years sealed up the entrance. Nowhere was there any trace of Henry Jekyll, dead or alive. Poole stamped on the flags of the corridor. "He must be buried here," he said, hearkening to the sound. "Or he may have fled," said Utterson, and turned to examine the door in the by-street. It was locked, and lying near by on the flags, they found the key, already stained with rust. "This does not look like use. Observed the lawyer. "Use!" echoed Poole. "Do you not see, sir, it is broken as much as if a man had stamped on it?" "Aye," continued Utterson, "and the fractures, too, are rusty." The two men looked at each other with a scare. "This is beyond me." "This is beyond me, Poole," said the lawyer. "Let us go back to the cabinet." They mounted the stair in silence, and still an occasional awe-struck glance at the dead body, proceeded more thoroughly to examine the contents of the cabinet. At one table there were traces of chemical work, various measured heaps of some white salt being laid on glass saucers, as though for an experiment in which the unhappy man had been prevented. "That is the same drug I was always bringing him," said Poole, and even as he spoke, the kettle with a startling noise boiled over. This brought them to the fireside, where the easy chair was drawn cosily up, and the tea things stood ready to the sitter's elbow. the very sugar in the cup. There were several books on a shelf. One lay beside the tea things open, and Utterson was amazed to find it a copy of a pious book, for Jekyll had several times expressed a great esteem, annotated in his own hand, and startling blasphemies. Next, in the course of the review of the chamber, the searchers came to the cheval glass, into whose depths they looked with an involuntary horror. But it was so turned as to show them nothing but the rosy glow playing on the roof, the fire sparkling in 100 repetitions along the glazed front of the presses, and their own pale and fearful countenances stooping to look in. This glass has seen some strange things, sir, whispered Poole. And surely none stranger than itself, echoed the lawyer in the same tones. Quite Jekyll. He caught himself up in the word with a start. Excuse me. For what did Jekyll? He caught himself up at the word with a start, and then conquering the weakness. What could Jekyll want with it? He said. You may say that, said Poole. Next they turned to the business table. On the desk, among the neat array of papers, a large envelope was uttermost, and bore, in the doctor's hand, the name of Mr. Utterson. The lawyer unsealed it, and several enclosures fell to the floor. The first was a will, drawn in the same eccentric terms as the one which he had returned 6 months before, to serve as a testament in case of death, and as a deed of gift in case of disappearance. But in place of the name Edward Hyde, the lawyer, with indescribable amazement, read the name of Gabriel John Utterson. He looked at Poole, then back to the paper, and at last, of all the dead malefactors stretched upon the carpet, my head goes round, he said. He has been all these days in possession. He had no cause to like me. He must have raged to see himself displaced, and he has not destroyed this document. He cut up the next paper. It was brief note in the doctor's hand and dated up at the top. Oh, Poole! The lawyer cried. He was alive and here this day. He cannot have disposed in a space. He must be alive. He must still be alive. He must be still alive. And he must have fled. And then why fled and how? And in that case, we can venture to declare this suicide? Oh, we must be careful. I foresee that we may yet involve your master in some dire catastrophe. Why don't you read it, sir? asked Poole. Because I fear, replied the lawyer solemnly. God grant I have no cause for it. And with that he brought the paper to his eyes and read as follows. My dear Utterson, when this shall fall into your hands, I shall have disappeared. Under what circumstances, I have not the penetration to foresee, but my instinct and all the circumstances of my nameless situation tell me that the end is sure, and must be early. Go then, and first read the narrative which Leon warned me that he was to place in your hands. And if you care to hear more, turn to the confession of your unworthy and unhappy friend, Henry Jekyll. There was a third enclosure, asked Addison. Here, sir, said Poole, and gave into his hands a considerable packet sealed in several places. The lawyer put in his pocket. I would say nothing of this paper. If your master has fled or is dead, we may at least save his credit. It is now 10. I must go home and read these documents in quiet, but I shall be back before midnight, when we shall send for the police. Oh, hey, Kate Morning, you came just in time, and we're almost done with this chapter. And we're almost done with this live stream, but you made it here just in time. They went out to locking the door of the theater behind them, and Mr. Alderson, once more leaving the servants gathered about the fire in the hall, trudged back to his office to read the two narratives in which this mystery was now to be explained. Dr. Leon, in the next chapter, Dr. Leon's narrative. All right, so what you've missed, Kate Morning. Poole, the butler. I'm out of breath. Oh, there it is. My breath. Poole, the butler, convinced the lawyer that there was something wrong, something's mysterious about Dr. Jekyll. And then they break in. They cleverly, dastardly break into his cabinet, and only to find what appears the dead body of Dr. Jekyll. No, not Dr. Jekyll. Not Dr. Jekyll. Sorry. What appears to be the dead body of Mr. Hyde. What appears. And so, and they don't know. Apparently, Dr. Jekyll was there in the cabinet that day. Maybe, definitely not during the time when they arrived. So they don't know what has happened. How did Dr. Jekyll escape? If he did escape. But Mr. Hyde, he's dead. So yeah. Fake body? I don't think that. Well, I don't. We're not at the end of the story. We just know that he's in the room. He's been taking drugs. If you rewatch the stream, you'll find out. I definitely recommend that you rewatch this stream. Earlier in this stream, I have been talking about Five Nights at Freddy's, the movie. I didn't get far into talking about the movie because I was not focused. My friend was texting me, and he wanted to talk to me before he went to bed, but now he's in bed. Anyways, and so, wow, and they broke into his cabinet with a poker in one hand, and the butler had the fire axe, and the lawyer, the most useful lawyer, most dedicated lawyer, he had the poker, and then Poole ordered Mr. What's his name? Debauchery? I don't know. Bradshaw had ordered Mr. Bradshaw and the knife boy. Yeah, there's a knife boy. To go around the back so that he would not have an escape. So or so that Mr. Hyde would not have an escape. And they were right. The killer was, or well, Poole assumed that Dr. Jekyll was killed by Mr. Hyde because he was ordered by his master to go get chemicals for him. And then he later learns that he's receiving chemicals from what seems to be Mr. Hyde instead of Dr. Jekyll. Because he does not recognize the sound of the voice. He's been working for this man. He's been the servant of this man for 20 years. So he's like, yeah, I'm suspicious. And so he called the lawyer. He called Mr. Utterson, who's the main character of the story. The lawyer is like, all right, we're breaking in. At first, Ms. Utterson jumped to the conclusion that maybe he's ill. Maybe he has maladies or something. You know, he wanted to be, because he's a doctor. A doctor knows how to self-diagnose sometimes. And that he was very up. But the problem was Dr. Jekyll was very upset about the stuff in the chemicals that he was trying to purchase. But anyways, so yeah, Poole suspected that the person inside the cabinet wasn't Dr. Jekyll, but Edward Hyde. So he walked over to Mr. Utterson's place, got Mr. Utterson. They went over and then broke into his cabinet. And then they found what appears to be the dead body of Mr. Hyde. And so they decided to investigate Dr. Jekyll's. They decided to investigate Dr. Jekyll's cabinet, and they found that Mr. Hyde has apparently committed suicide by drinking something, because there was a broken file in his hand. So yeah, again, I just gave you like a quick summary of it. But if you want like more of the juicier details, like how they break in and other details that I missed or I haven't told you, but definitely rewatch the stream. And they're given a clue to now read Mr. Lane's narrative. Well, Mr. Lane, he's dead, but he wrote a letter to. It's complicated lawyer business, but apparently he wrote a letter to Mr. Utterson that could only be opened if should something bad happen to Dr. Jekyll. And after Lan dies, and so Lan dies, and nothing bad happened to Dr. Jekyll according to the story. But however, they found this note, and so like, well, if you want to find out what has happened to me, should you ever find out what has happened to me, go read Mr. Lane's. So he's disappeared. There's final confirmation that Dr. Jekyll has disappeared. That's also another thing that the Lane's note has clarified. That like, should he disappear or should should he disappear or should he die? Read a note. So and then they found a note in Dr. Jekyll's cabinet. Hey, go read Mr. Lane's note, because I'm gone. See ya. Well, it doesn't say that, but again, rewind the stream to know the full details. And so the next chapter will be about Dr. Lane's narrative, and I should be closing this stream now because it's getting late, and yeah, it's getting late, and I've got to go. Well, see you all soon in the next episode. Please subscribe, ring the bell, share, fast forward, rewind, all that other stuff. Like, subscribe, ring the bell. Comment down below and talk to your friends. Happy Thanksgiving for this Thursday. If I don't make a stream before, then I'll say Happy Thanksgiving now. So Happy Thanksgiving, Cape Morning. Have a good night, Cape Morning. Bye-bye. Good. Wait, did I say morning? Have a good night. Have a good night, Cape Morning. That's weird. I read that backward. Cape Night. That sounds like a great name. Anyways. Yeah, happy Thanksgiving and happy Black Friday. I might stream later this week, probably. I know I keep on saying that, but like I might stream, but I'll definitely upload a video. The next video would be Cinderfall. Yeah, the Cinderfall cards from the Ruby game board. Oh yeah, good looking Black Friday. I'd probably be staying home on Black Friday, but I'll definitely try to, I don't know, purchase something this Friday, or I don't know. I mean, I definitely have a Barnes & Noble gift card. I could go to the Barnes & Noble and purchase a bunch of cheap books. But anyways, bye-bye!